What's good, Beast Hounds? I'm Kit Raid, and I'm mad. I'm going to cut to the chase and tell you what you need to hear, and then I'm going to rewind and tell you a personal experience that I recently had going into a local supplement shop. But here's the point, right? Creatine, specifically, creatine monohydrate is fine. It works. It works as well and better than anything else. It is the best studied supplement ever, and it's the only supplement that everyone agrees is proven effective and safe. If you're buying an effervescent ethyl ester neon creatine beta bibold sulfate, you are wasting your money. Creatine monohydrate is safe. It will allow you to express about 10% more strength, and it'll help you get a few more reps, which you can turn into a few more gains. It'll make you hold a little more water, but it'll make you hold that water in your muscles, which is basically a good thing, right? Unless you're trying to compete under a certain weight, maybe. But more water in the muscle is going to make you look like you have more muscle. If you're taking creatine, you probably want more muscle, so win-win, right? They will try and separate you from your money saying, oh, this special creatine is non-bloat or faster absorption or whatever. It's all horseshit. Think about it this way, right? Creatine monohydrate is tap water. It's cheap. It's everywhere. Creatine, everything other than monohydrate, is Voss. It's bling H2O. It costs more, it might even taste better, but it's not going to hydrate you any better than tap water. It is a con. It is a waste of your money. It's not safer. It's not better. It's just something that they can mark up. Maybe it's patentable, so they can price it more competitively because they're the only ones with this special one that you definitely need. But it's definitely less well studied than the original, which we know works. So why risk spending more money on something that is possibly worse? Save your money, buy creatine monohydrate. Now I'm going to ramble about going shopping. So I went into a local supplement shop for the first time recently, and I'm like, I've been training a little while, kind of looks like I trained, especially since I quit the sleeves. So I'm not going to feel out of place. I'm not going to feel like an imposter. I know what I'm talking about mostly, so I'm not going to get conned into buying some bullshit. I'm out of creatine. It's expensive online now, so it might as well be expensive in real life, but I get to support a local independent business, and, you know, I get to be around my people. I get my creatine today, everybody wins. Supplement-wise, I take some stuff for my elbow, I take some multivitamins, I take creatine and protein powder. I have a ton of protein powder already. I'm good for pills, I'm just looking for creatine, but I'm also looking to enjoy my first real-life supplement shop experience, you know? Be among my kind. So I walk up to the place, and there's a big sign in the window, and that sign says fat burners, and I'm like, uh-oh. I guess there's a market for that kind of stuff. It's not useful, please don't do it, but Jesus, if Holland & Barrett can't run a business without selling them, maybe this independent place can't afford to miss out on that market slice either. And I'm imagining this humble businessman, 5'5", jacked, sweaty, he's got to wash his hair, he looks a bit like Bernard Black, but jacked. And he's wringing his hands, you know, he's trying to feed his 3 hungry children. One of them's on crutches, you know, looking like a Victorian chimney sweep. Little Joe's got his peak cap in hand, little bit of coal on his face. And the businessman in my mind, he's not doing the best. He's got nowhere else to turn, so he makes a sign that says fat burners and he puts it in his window, and his wife puts her hand on his shoulder and says it's fine, but he's brushing his teeth, he's looking in the mirror, and he just doesn't know what he's seeing anymore. That's what's going on in my head. So all of that happens in my head, and I'm like, this is fine. So I go in, and the dude behind the counter does not look like what I expect. Like, I'm expecting a used car salesman, but with muscles. And what I get is more like the guy who owns the dealership franchise, you know what I'm saying? He looks like a bricklayer, strong, but about 85% sausage rolls. And that's fine, be who you want to be. I want to be the type that judges based on the content of one's character and not what they look like. Martin Luther King taught me that via Gwen Stefani. But be whatever you want, right? I'm looking at this dude, and then I'm looking at the wall of fat burners, and then I'm looking at this dude who already owns and is trying to sell me, prioritize me, even with a big sign in the window, all these fat burners. So I don't know, man. Something just didn't add up. So the dude in there is talking to another dude, this absolute unit. Eastern European, tall, wide, lean, stunning, bold as shit, like perfect in every way. So they're busy, and I get away with just looking around the shop a bit. uninterrupted. And at this point, I'm not feeling as positive about this whole thing as I was outside. There's just 3 of us dudes in here, and this one's bigger than me, and this one's also bigger than me, and I'm starting to believe that little Joe doesn't even exist. So I'm a touch heartbroken at the sudden loss of little Joe. At this point, I just wanna get in, get the goods, support a local businessman with or without his downtrodden but plucky Cockney chimney sweep children, and get out. I'm seeing fat burners, mass gainers, pre-workouts, pump enhancers. Finally, I make my way to the first thing that I think is actually worth anyone spending money on, and it's protein powders. And then I'm out. I've run out of the store. Where the fuck is the creatine? Creatine is literally the only supplement that the whole scientific community agrees on, apart from caffeine, I guess. It works, it's safe. Where is it? So I start working my way back down the store because I must have missed it. What do you want, bro? The bricklayer in charge is talking to me. So I just say, oh, I only take protein and creatine. And he looks me up and down and he gives me this look that says, I know. And that's what his eyes are saying, but his mouth is saying, I bet you're £100 that you're taking your creatine wrong. Now, I'm a late adopter, right? I'm too poor and too lazy to be an early adopter. Creatine has been widely available since the 1990s. It's been studied since the 1910s, like J.R.R. Tolkien might have been getting laid for the first time at the same time that the study took place. It's that old. And at this point, it's been studied to shit. We know it's safe. We know that you can load creatine in a week if you take 25 grams a day and be walking around like someone punched you in the gut. Or you could take 5 grams a day and you'll reach creatine saturation in under a month, depending on what your levels are like starting. Do whatever you like, take it any time of day. You can take it with caffeine. That was one of the things they used to say had a negative effect on it. Disproven. You don't have to take it with carbs. They used to say that was beneficial. Disproven. You really can't fuck it up. So I'm confident. I'd like to win £100 worth of stuff, but I'm not confident enough that I'll see that money or that I'll get out of the store alive without paying the bricklayer general if he thinks I'm wrong. I'm painting this guy in a bad light. He was actually delightful to talk to. Very friendly, very charming, little twinkle in his eye. I liked him. I say I take 5 grams once a day. I take it with tea in the evening because that's the only time I consistently remember to take it. I know it doesn't denature at the temperature of my tea because I saw a study saying that it doesn't denature until 97 degrees. Although I know that creatine in meat denatures with cooking, so I'm not 100% sure. But I add it to the tea when it's warm but not hot, just because it dissolves better in hot water than cold. And the dude's like, very good, you know your stuff, but do you know how creatine works? And I'm like, I know what it does for me, but I'm not a biochemist. It's something to do with ATP. And he goes, yes. Creatine increases phosphocreatine levels, which increases your ATP energy production. And in my head, I'm like, fact checking, yep, sounds good. And then he spins me this yarn, like fucking Merlin with a wand of bullshit. And he's become so energetic while he's telling me this stuff that I'm only half catching what he says because he's so animated and spry. I mean, it's like he's Willy Wonka. He's just Dr. Zeusing this shit at me in a way that I am too busy thinking about the words that rhyme to actually like fact check in real time. This man was an incredible salesman, and I really had to like hold onto my wallet, not just to like, yeah, and then wake up having given him all of my money. I mean, his eyes were like the snake from Disney, and I come to mid pseudoscience because something he's saying sets off a great big emergency bullshit alarm in my head. He says, you should never take creatine monohydrate because it converts to toxic creatinine in the liver. And the spell is broken. I don't remember what he said after that because I was done. I just wanted out. But he pointed up at the creatine that he had for sale up on some high shelf, some extremely expensive creatine bullshit that wasn't creatine monohydrate, which you might as well read as some extremely expensive bullshit that's basically untested compared to the cheap one that we know works. Now, this dude was older than me. Maybe like 10 years older. So if I'm being kind, maybe he hasn't read up on creatine recently, like the last 25 years. But if I'm being less kind, it's his job to know, and it's also his job to take my money. And also, he said that I should take 2.5 grams twice a day instead of 5 grams once a day. And being as how it's a system that you fill up and top up, like your petrol tank, not like sugar that's around your bloodstream and then it's either got to do something or get stored as something else, didn't really make sense. I was trying to figure out why he'd recommend that. And the only thing I can think of is that the product comes with a 5-gram scoop, right? So if you're hungry for gains and you're buying into the bullshit, if you're eyeballing half a scoop every day, twice a day, you're obviously going to overdose rather than underdose. So you're going to get through the product faster than if you took 1 level scoop a day. So you're going to have to go back to that guy to buy his special creatine, because if you buy it from anyone else, your freaking liver's going to fail. And it's a good job he saved you from that. Never mind the fact that the profit margin on that creatine is way higher than the safe one that we know works. Now, I'm not a biologist, but I've read the abstract of enough studies to know that the people with the real brains have agreed that it's safe, and that's all I need to know. But my understanding of what this dude said is that it gets broken down into toxic creatinine in the liver. It's the same as like, yo, you shouldn't eat food because it gets broken down into poop. Yeah, creatinine is a byproduct of creatine doing its thing. It enters the bloodstream and then the kidneys kick it out. That's their job. You don't store it forever and die. It comes out. I'm not calling anyone out here. I'm not saying who or where this is. It just pissed me off because there's already so much bullshit in between people and their goals. Like, there's often massive internal turmoil between what people want and actually doing it. You can make enough excuses for yourself without having to navigate the bullshit peddlers. I myself have been around long enough to have fallen for Mike Chang's 6-pack shortcuts. That was a lot of suffering without a whole lot of results. And if someone's in a bad way and they decide, I gotta make a change, and then they find suffering without results, they're obviously not going to be inclined to continue, and that pisses me off. There's literally people dying because they think getting fit is too much hard work when they're actually just being led down the wrong road. And then you've got supplement companies just making shit up, taking your money for nothing, influencers and bodybuilders claiming that you can look by them just by eating right and training hard, when they know, we know, everybody knows there's some intravenous minerals going on. Christ. I have friends who I love and respect who think that Chris Hemsworth is a lifetime natural. What the fuck is everywhere?
Chris put on 20-25 pounds of muscle in about 6 months.
In year 1, the average gain I would estimate is between 5 and 15 pounds of muscle for young, healthy males.
The bullshit is everywhere. I was just hoping to have a nice time in my local supplement store. I was hoping that it was like coffee shop vibes, but for strong boys. But no, even after showing that I read a few studies and I'm not Joe Mama, the dude tried to put the money disappearing hex on me. What hope does Gary, who just wants to feel good about himself after his divorce, have? It's horseshit, it annoys me, and here we are. Creatine monohydrate, non-spawn. For more no bullshit fitness related rants, recipes and really good tutorials, make sure you're subscribed, leave a comment and a like so that we can hopefully make a bit more noise and save a few people from the vultures. But whatever else you do, get them gains. Be well.